letters over trap beats. The Fixx is saying, ooh. DJ Focus, tell him turn you up. Ooh. DJ Focus, tell him turn you up. Ooh.
Welcome back, DJ Focus, Dice Gamble. You tap back into the Fixx, and it's time for our spiritual detox. And we got a special one today, don't we, Dice? We talk about it all the time. All these wonderful series we love to watch. You know, in our spare time when we have a little time, we're excited to have a super talented actress, and she cook a little bit too as well, Dice. And I think she might be going on Dancing with the Stars, you know what I'm saying, sometime soon too, because she be all on her social media saying, yeah, I got that step too. What you ain't said nothing. Listen, the super talented. Listen, and she do a little bit of everything. Actress, former hairstylist, probably still does it too as well. The super talented Irma Cadiz. What's going on, sis?
Thank you for having me. That was a wonderful intro. You might have fibbed a little bit there. But I appreciate that. That was awesome, yo.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. We just wanted to make you feel welcome.
It's called Support Group for Latinas Who Can't Dance for a Reason.
Wow, we see you got the beat. We seen the rhythm, you know. Thank you for coming on, like Focus was saying, you know, and for our listeners, like this lady right here is doing it all. And honestly, you're a huge inspiration for me personally. I love it when the ladies come on here. We have guys for days, but it's like when you get women on here who are like really in the game, running the game, and you're doing so many of the things I personally enjoy. Like Focus said, you know, acting. Obviously, I'm all about a hair, but I'm 100% about food and you know, anything from a Latina I'm into. So that's why I was like, on the show, what's good? On the show, let's go.
For me, it's definitely about trying to find my culture. That's what you're seeing playing out. You know, it's been an exploration for me, and I think many children of parents who come from other places, you know, there's a pressure to Americanize a little bit. And, you know, growing up, you know, I always wanted McDonald's like the other kids, and my parents are here making rice every single day, you know. So there are things that I probably didn't appreciate as much when I was younger. And now as an adult with grown children of my own, you've seen me like trying to explore and reminisce on those things that I had and learn more about them and learn. So that's what you see happening there. It's a whole years and years of me trying to learn the foods of my culture and appreciate them and share them with the world. And it's the same thing with dance. I was born and raised Pentecostal, so there was no dancing unless you were in the church. So you see me as an adult exploring that because it ties into my culture. And you can't deny that. That was played in the church. That music was there. It showed up. It all ties in together. So you see me, that's why it is called the Support Group for Latinas Who Can't Dance, because during COVID, we were just making videos and having people follow along the Zumba songs, but it was all just out of love and trying to find a little piece of myself and share it with the world. So
That's good. Thanks for sharing that. And let's talk a little bit more about your faith journey while you're there, because you said that Pentecostal word, and we love our Pentecostals and our Kojics and all denominations. Speak a little bit about your faith journey and how that kind of shaped who you are.
you know, I'm probably a controversial guest in that respect, right? Because I would definitely call myself more spiritual in my life at this point than I don't think I would pick a denomination or say, you know, but I think that's more because of the way I was brought up, which I think makes me an interesting guest, right? Because we got to talk about the other end, right? The people who were kind of manipulated in and whatever. That was more of mine. It was very, you know, fear-based and almost cult-like. But at the same time, I don't judge the faith itself. It's definitely an integral part of me and everything I do. I don't, you know, I could say all day, oh, I'm not a Christian anymore. But the truth is, I spend the day like, thank God. It doesn't go away. It's there. It's there. You know, I think historically what I've studied and seen from the church, I have my issues with it. But at the same time, I was baptized when I was 12. It's not going away. So, you know, you could call it a conundrum. You could call it whatever you want. But that's where I am, you know, and I would never knock anyone's faith because I do think that the church and faith leads people to a stronger focus, right? It I'll give you an example of that. I have a friend who's an atheist. He's a medic. He was telling me how these doctors, they love Christian folk. Like they love when Christian folks are in the hospital because studies will show their faith is so strong. They're so attuned, because it doesn't matter if you call it faith in God, faith in the universe, faith in whatever. The fact is that meditation and that prayer brings them all to a place where their healing rates are higher. Period. Um, they I don't know how to elaborate much more into that without I don't want to offend half the audience, but it's a fact, you know. It's a fact, yeah. Um, so that's always going to be a part of me. I think as I've gotten older, I definitely have changed what I call what, but there's something there. So
I love that. I love that. What you call what? I think we all go through that, and I think that's very regular. I think it's very human, and to be you should walk through that, and if you don't, I don't even know if you challenge what you really believe in life. How do you like growing up? And this has been a question for me because being in America for me as a Black woman, I'm totally disconnected to culture. The only culture I have is what I've seen around me. So as especially looking at your social media and things like that, and the things you've said and how you're reuniting your culture with your soul is what it looks like. How did you balance that growing up? You know what I'm saying? Because it kind of seems like you're kind of embracing it more now, probably than before. Like, was there a moment where you were like, I got to get back into what I am? You know what I'm saying? Like where I'm from. Like I gotta put some respect on where I'm from. Like what really happened?
it's hard to say, but at some point I just yearn. I want to say my kids probably had a lot to do with it. My kids are grown, right? They're 26 and 23, and I will say that the teenage years were not easy. They definitely, I would say they definitely broke us in many ways, to many extents. Like I talk about it openly, me and my son, we have a broken relationship to this day. We love each other, but it is what it is. But I would say that some of that difficulty and starting to understand my mother made me miss some things, you know? Um, and I think I found cooking as a way to calm down. It was actually baking that I was doing, when I was going through when I was going through the fire and brimstone of those kids, you gotta do something 'cause I started baking cakes every week. It was going there, it was going there, it was going there, it was going there. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like it was, everybody, "Oh, I love being a mom." That was not my experience. I had fantasies of running away, and if we're gonna be honest, but I started baking. That's just something I started doing. I start every other weekend just to keep myself somewhat put together and keeping the marbles together. I started baking cakes. I started going on Pinterest and learning how to do certain things, and I found a comfort in that. And it just kind of evolved, and I started enjoying cooking other things, and the food by chance. Again, like I said, I was baking more than anything else. It was cookies, cakes, and pies, but at some point, I've always had a love for coquito, which you see me selling now, but I was making cakes out of that. I was already making that for my family, and it ties into the cultural thing. And just it evolved. At some point, I was asked to be on a cooking show. And I remember my first thought being, "Eh, I don't know, cooking versus baking. One is relaxing for me, one is probably not because I'm afraid of burning down the kitchen." But I kept working at what I knew, and I kept working on these plantains, and you come a few years later and here I am just enjoying these foods and sharing them with everybody, and I'm still learning. I always say I'm not a chef. That's a strong word. I'm a home cook. I'm learning, and as I learn, I share those videos with people. Because I feel like our ancestral foods are being lost generation to generation. They're being, you know, they're being lost. And it just ties you back. And they do have a tie-in to your homeland. Everything does. Our music, our foods. Like for example, the first dish I made on the cooking show was mofongo with camarones. And when you look into the history of mofongo, that is based off of fufu that comes from Africa. It is what it is. Our music, you were tying into not knowing about your culture.
Mhm. I was gonna say that was very African what you just said to me. I was like,
Fact. Yeah, it's a fact. Yes. Yeah, the word is mofongo. Come on. Like,
I just wanted to taste some of it. I don't even know what she said. I just was like, it sounded amazing.
Yeah. No, she hit me with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh no, it's delicious. It's literally a mashup of you take plantains, you fry them, you mash them up, um, and then they're infused with garlic and things like that. And I cook the shrimp right into them. But that has its origins in your homeland. If you ever, if you're not sure of where to start looking for your own history, you can start 100% looking into Latin culture because many years ago I took a music history course. Surprisingly, this was in college. That music history course, which I did later in life, taught me a lot more about African history than I ever learned in school. Um, it was done at Brooklyn College. The course started with Africa, intentionally Africa, and it covered the drum beats, call and shout, things like that are used, and it followed a stream all the way to the Americas, South America, North America, back around, and ended up all the way back in even in as close to Ireland, and the steps that they do that all originated, and there's a history to that. Um, but one thing you should know in that class, I saw a map that I had never seen in my life. It was video, and I had to tell the teacher, I've never seen anything like that. From You had the US here, you had Africa here. It showed the currents of where each slave went from each country in Africa. A lot of them from the Congo went to the Caribbean. A lot of them from Ghana and Nigeria ended up in the States. And it's very interesting to see. And salsa music, where I'm going with that, Latin music, um, they didn't take the drums away in Latin America the way they did in North America. That's why Puerto Ricans have bomba y plena, and that was fighting back type of music. Yes. So you're gonna get very close to listen to your ancestral beats when you hear our music because it's still there, along mixed in with other things. Obviously, it's got Spaniard music and it's got native stuff, but it's you even hear the from the you hear all of that in our music. It's still there, but it has its origins and stuff has been documented. And I wish I could share that course with everybody. It's a course taught at Brooklyn College because that video alone, it might not answer your questions as to what tribe, where you were from, and whatever, but looking at some of those origins and where they ended up might teach you a little bit of where to start looking. That's what I got from that map. So there is stuff out there. Yeah.
Listen, DJ Focus, Dice Gamble. We're going to a quick break. We're coming right back with more from Irma. Keep it locked. You tune into The Fixx.
And the fix is in.
Holy Culture Radio. We're not just background noise. We play the music that inspires you because every song has a story. Christian hip hop and R&B music and talk on Siriusxm channel 154, 24 hours a day. Holy Culture Radio is changing the game. Discussions about faith, arts, vocation, and education. We talk about the real issues that affect our communities and work together to find solutions. Join the discussion at holyculture.net and be heard.
Welcome back. DJ Focus, Dice Gamble. You tap back into The Fixx. We still got the super talented Irma Cadiz on with us. So come on, Irma, talk about it. Talk about this transition. Like, how did you go from being a hairstylist for over 20 years to even getting into acting? Like, walk us through that. What made you shift? What motivated you to even pursue your acting career?
Acting was always there. Hairstyling was actually my plan B. And it was a good plan B to have, but it was how I raised my kids and fed them. But acting was something that I always wanted to do. It from the first moment I did a dramatic play in high school to going to college, studying communications, taking the acting classes. It was always there. It's just I kept getting in the way. I had kids, took a pause. The kids got older. I did a little more, took a pause again during the teenage years. That's going to be a recurring theme. But it was always there for me. It's very therapeutic for me. It's something I love to do, and I'm one of these people that whether I make less money or not, I'm going to do something I love doing because even with the hair, it's something I enjoyed. It was a career, it was a job, but it was a good career to have. I'm a strong believer in you got to love what you do because you're going to be there every day, every single day for years and years and years. So you got to love what you're doing. And acting, I've just gotten to a point now as an adult, now that I'm a little bit of an empty nester, where I can focus on it the way it deserves. It's been a long haul. It's not for the weak, as I've said before to many people. It's something you really got to keep pursuing. But when the doors start opening even just a little bit, you run in, and that's kind of where I am. I'm doing my best to just get in there and finally be able to make a living from it. So that's what you're seeing is the evolution of Irma. And you know how they say the bar graph, your life isn't necessarily going to go up this way. It's more of that's been my life, and I'm at that point where you're seeing a little bit of the upward spin finally. So I'm blessed with that.
Girl, you blessing us by just doing all these things. I'll be honest with you. Like I was just saying off air, I was like, she's doing everything I want to do. Like everything that I'm kind of tapped into, but it's nice to see somebody happily doing these things um after having children and things like that, because that's impressive to me. Um, you have a mentor, and she passed away about 5 or 6 years ago. Her name was Miss Yvonne, and I wanted to ask you a little bit about her. Rest in power, Yvonne. And like, what was that? What was her impact on you? You know, um, like, what do you take with you now that you got from her?
She was everything. I mean, Yvonne was crazy, but she was a beautiful crazy. She was a wonderful woman, and she was an amazing Meisner teacher. And that's the the method that I carry with me most in acting is Meisner because it's very intuitive, right? And it's a lot about listening to your partner and really hearing what they're saying versus going off on your own methodology or acting per se. It's really about listening, and Yvonne was a master at it. She's who first introduced me to it. Um, I can't say enough about her. Honestly, she cultivated something in me and made it all tangible to the point where I never really looked back. Even if I took a break, I never really paused. I never looked back, and I've applied her methods not only to acting but to daily life. So rest in peace, Yvonne. But that was a wonderful. Yeah. She ran a studio in Orlando called For Art's Sake, and I wanna say it's still running, um, but she was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing so much now. Thanks for sharing that with your acting. Come on and talk about some of these roles, like Law and Order, Law and Order. Of course, Power Book 3. When you audition for these roles, are these characters that you look to kind of like bring a life from like self experiences, or is it just you? It just depends on what you want to be a part of.
There's a little bit of you in every character you play, and for me, it's definitely been art imitating life where it comes to raising Kanan, because you'll definitely see me as a hairdresser, which is great. It's really great. It's a I don't, I, you know, the irony is there, but I don't turn it down. You know what I mean? In fact, I lean into it because that particular self tape when I auditioned, uh, I took advantage of the slate, and it's exactly what came out of my mouth. Like, well, there's not going to be much acting here when it comes to taking on that cape on and off because I've been doing this for 20 years. I had my blow dryer right there. I kissed it. I was like, thank you. But it probably helped me audition with a little more confidence. But it doesn't take away the acting though; it's still there. And once you get in a room with people like Patina Miller, oh my God, I don't know what else to say. But it's been a blessing. Law and Order. That was I played a clerk in that. And I'm the one that just gets to walk in and announce the case. And by the grace of God, they called me back. They called me back to play the role again, and didn't have to audition for that. It was a shock to me, but I was happy to go back. Listen, call me back every time with the same judge, and then make me a regular. I would love that. Give me a name. But that's a blessing. I just started getting, to give an example of how long that journey is. I just got my SAG card literally just this past, I've had it almost a year now. I just got it, and then the strike happened. Um, but those doors just started opening for me, and we're talking. It's I just got it, and I've been chasing this dream, doing small theater, black box theater, little commercials here, there, climbing the climb that you have to climb. So hopefully, and God willing, it's just the beginning that the universe is calling me, because I got big plans. But to have a start with people like Katina, like 50 Cent, I couldn't ask for a better door in. Law and Order, that's a franchise that has been around and will be around and will probably outlive all of us. And to say that after all these years of struggle and you lose faith in yourself, you really do. Imposter syndrome hits you at every avenue, you know. But to have the doors open with even the smallest roles, because for me, they're not major roles, but it's in a major franchise. And I could not ask for more because only more good could come from this, you know. So I'm grateful that you're even asking me about it.
Well, I want to ask you about this coquito. So,
Wait, let me show you.
did your family make this? Did you
That's
make this growing up? And why did you choose it to become a part of your brand, like your business? I mean, you could have picked anything.
my extended family did. Like, that's funny. My extended family did because again, my mother was evangelical. She was Pentecostal, so they didn't drink. But everybody else did at the parties. Her brothers and sisters and whatever. And growing up Latina, and mind you, I'm not even a drinker. I'm not a drinker. I'm not one that loves to drink, but I love coquito. It's that tie into my culture. I love it. It's and again, I keep studying the historical context of all these foods, right? It's all an evolution, but it is derived from ponche that comes from Spain. And that is it's an eggnog, and that was mostly milk based and egg based. Coquito's not like that. It's got dairy, but it's also got coconut milks. Some people make it with eggs, some people don't. It's an evolution of things that have happened with travel, but it's just really good. It's delicious, and it's like drinking. I don't know what to compare it to. It's like drinking a flan. Like with some liquor on top of that. Like it's so good. Um, yeah, yeah, it's sweet. It's very sweet. You have to balance it out a little bit, but it's just a taste of culture. It really is. I mean, the company motto is it's culture served on ice, and it's something I truly believe. What I'm selling you is not, I'm not selling you shot. I'm not selling you Ciroc time. I'm selling you an experience. What I'm selling with that company is memories. I have a lot of people who catch me, and when they talk about the drink, they go back into remembering, oh, my mom used to make this. I remember, my wife used to make this, or my grandma, and she passed away, or they remember the parties, they remember the family. That's really what I'm selling. You know what I mean? And that's what's wrapped up into a bottle. And that's what I want to share with the world. And God willing, if I make it, that drink is going to come with me because I want the world to know what coquito is. So,
So that's to be very clear. When I did drink, I gave up drinking.
have you had some? I have to assume you've had coquito.
I have. I was gonna ask Focus. 'Cause I saw when you said it, he was
Well,
like,
see, the thing with coquito is it doesn't have to have liquor in it.
it doesn't have to have liquor. It's like eggnog. Think about eggnog, like that. With the.
Yeah, it doesn't have to have liquor in it for you to get that experience. I have people request virgin bottles, and I make it.
Well, I like eggnog. So if you got eggnog and some Archway cookies, let's go.
You could probably send mine with alcohol. Just Focus on drink. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, I do that. Yeah, cookies and cojito.
Yeah, well, if you can find somebody to make you a virgin coquito, you have to have that experience because it's wonderful. It's wonderful. It's it's a piece of my culture. So
He just shots. Yeah,
yeah,
we gotta
yeah.
virgin him up. It's all good. Yeah, no, we gotta virgin him up.
Well, we're gonna reach back out to you. Maybe you put that on your list. You gotta we gotta reach out to you to get it done the right way. Listen, talk a little bit about your experience on the Great American Recipe. I think you were a contestant on that. So talk a little bit about your experience on that.
What a wonderful experience. I was on season 1 for a couple episodes, and I was speaking about the dish that I made on that first episode. I made a few dishes. I made bacalaitos. I made pastelon, which is like a Latin style of lasagna made with like plantains and ground meat and things like that. What got me kicked off was the chicken pot pie. I made chicken pot pie, and I remember we didn't have just enough time for that top layer to be cooked, the dough. So I remember that critique, like, oh, it was really tasty, but I didn't get finished on time. So, but that was a wonderful experience. I got to meet some incredible cooks. We're friends to this day. We on a group chat, like I get to hear them talk every day. But it's you're now part of another legacy. You're now you're that's another network. It's like I was on PBS. Wow, and I'm never gonna forget walking into that barn, and it was very much a sensation of holy, this is happening. Like you're here, and it's just blessings upon blessings upon blessings. Yeah, and I'm not really competing now because I did find out that competition cooking is not for me. That it's a very nerve-wracking experience. You put a timer and that's just not a normal thing. Uh, Anybody out there watching, you give me a show, I'm gonna do it all day. At a comfort level because I did do that for an internship. But yeah, I don't think I ever want to cook with a timer again. But again, that experience, I wouldn't trade it for the world. It was wonderful. It can be very anxiety inducing to have a timer. You don't cook like that in your kitchen. In your kitchen, if you burn the food, so what? All right, you either start over or you go out to eat. You know what I mean? Whereas you have this clock coming at you like, oh, you gotta get this. I cried a lot behind the scenes. I will tell you that's something I will share with the audience. Irma cried a lot when those cameras are off. I was just, oh, yeah. But I'm grateful to have had that experience. I am. It was wonderful.
Listen, thanks a lot for coming by. Can you tell the people how they connect with you, follow you on all your social media platforms, and where they can check out everything you're in?
Yeah, 100%. I'm on Instagram. It's my name. It's IRMACADIZ. It's Irma Cadiz. And you can find me on Facebook, but mostly Instagram is where and if you ever want to try Coquito, it's COQUITO Lady, CoquitoLady.com or NYC on social media. And if you're in New York City, I can make virgin versions for those of you who live in the city. I make those only to order because they don't store as well. They got to be consumed right away. But I wouldn't be opposed to sending you guys a recipe so you can have it without the alcohol and you can get that experience and really enjoy what that is. So
Can you tell the people when can they check you out on Power Book 3, Kanan, Raising Kanan? When is your episode playing?
it's Friday. I believe the episode where I finally am introduced and speak is this week, actually. But you should be watching the whole season because it's an amazing show. My episode is not the one that you're into. You need to be watching it from day one because that show, that franchise, let alone, is something else. And support our people. That's really great. So watch it from beginning to end, and let's pray that something comes of it for me. Because I would love to go back. But yeah, check it out this Friday.
I feel like we need a scene. I feel like we need a scene in there, 50. We need a radio scene. We need a radio scene in there, 50. I know you're probably listening. We need a radio scene.
I'm trying to see your coquito in a scene, okay? I want to see some bottles popping in a scene. I'm throwing it out there, 50, just so you know. I know you listening to the show too.
I took it to
Throwing it
set.
out there.
Yeah, he needs to go ahead and sponsor my company. I need a co-packer.
I agree. Listen, it ain't like he's not into the game. So I'm seeing a very easy segue right there, and I think a brother is into supporting the ladies. So I'm here. I'm pushing it right now.
I do believe he's coming out with a Latin series too. I've been doing my homework, so he might want to introduce us, make it more authentic.
Hey, we got to go to a quick break. We'll be back with more. Keep it locked. You tuned into The Fixx.
And the Fixx is in.